week to assist our nursing division for contact tracing. So our health department, our employees, once again, are standing up to this increase. And our hopes is that the community comes together because we're giving everybody those basic public health measures: social distancing, staying home when you're sick, wearing a facial covering, knowing that we're currently in the red. We need the community to come together and do what's right. As a health department, as any of the leaders in our county, we can only take it so far. It's how the community responds to it now and how they're going to react to our increase. So that's currently where we're at. I can go ahead and take any questions. And I'll
Ryan, one question that you and I have discussed, because of the phone calls and the emails we get, is what is the mandate currently in the county for businesses and restaurants as dictated by the state and brought down to the county board of health? So what is the situation? What should the restaurants be at? What should the stores be at? Should they be requiring masks? Should they be requiring them in restaurants? What's the percentage of people permitted in the restaurants?
Currently, restaurants are allowed to open full bore, basically. They just need to make sure that they follow the orders that are in place, so they got to make sure that people are social distance within the restaurant. So, I mean, it depends on the size of the restaurant and how many tables they can seat to meet that. Each table needs to be that, I believe it's 6 feet apart. I think it's no more than 10 to a table. When you walk into a restaurant and when you're seated, you have to have this on, but when you're dining and or drinking, you're allowed to take it off. So it's really the restaurant's responsibility to ensure that they're adhering to the guidelines. We currently do continue to receive complaints on businesses that are out there if they're not wearing facial coverings. We look at it from the employee standpoint. I mean, we go in to ensure that the employees are adhering to it. We make sure that the businesses have the proper signage up that they're supposed to have up. But as far as with the community coming into the businesses, as a health department, we're not fining, we're not going to find the business, we're not going to find the individual, we're going to truly educate. We have worked on a few instances with local law enforcement to assist us. One of our box chain stores was having an issue about a month or so ago with the employees correctly wearing facial coverings. We probably went out a dozen times. Finally, we reached out to the local law enforcement and we said, can you assist us so we can have this conversation seriously with the manager? And it seems as having law enforcement with us, it seems as if that big box chain store has now come into compliance. Any bars or restaurants that are in a blatant violation that we receive that social distancing is not taking on, or they're not taking it seriously, we will pass that on to the Ohio Investigative Unit. The Ohio Investigative Unit will then potentially end up doing a undercover, go into the facility and observe what's going on. We've only had to forward one of those on, but we have not received any results if they've done that investigation currently. So I feel as if our businesses are doing a great job as far as the employees wearing the facial coverings, but like I said, we still on average probably get, I'd say, 5 complaints a day that we have to address. We have to consider that everybody may have an exemption of why they're not going to wear it, so that whole compassion piece comes in. You may go into a business and somebody may have a reason, a legitimate reason of why they are not wearing this. So we do receive complaints on some businesses where they have in writing as to why an employee is not going to be wearing a mask, which they're allowed to. It's if we go into a business and we see the whole store's not wearing it, the whole store's not going to have the exemption. So the stores are doing a good job. Our facial coverings, as far as when I go out and I see it on the weekends, in the beginning, like I said, when DeWine was making the plea, we're probably in that 85% to 90%. Excuse me. Now we're starting to see somewhat of a decrease in public, and we're probably seeing about 75% to 80% of individuals wearing facial coverings in stores. Like I said, the one thing that we need to see is we need this to be a community-wide effort. Knowing that we're in the red, we can go back to orange, we can go back to yellow by just practicing basic public health measures, social distance, stay at home when you're sick, wear a facial covering when you're in public. And now that we're getting into these months where we want to visit families, which we can do it, but when you visit families, you got to take all those measures into consideration. Wear a facial covering when you're at home, social distance, and when you're sick, do not go around and start visiting family members.
Ryan, do you get results from the city people as well? From Aaron Bishop about some businesses that are in the city? Are you getting any results from stores or whatever that aren't wearing the mask, and the people that come in and clean the buggies and all of that? Are you getting any anything on those issues, whether it be in the city or the county?
So if I understand your question correctly, so are we receiving complaints from the city?
No, are you getting any results? Are you collaborating with Aaron in the city about some of the businesses that she sees that are not complying with the mask, people that go into the store, with cleaning the buggies? Is that a mandate that they have to clean the buggies? Some, like Sam's Club, when you walk into Sam's, someone's there spraying the buggies, making sure every time you go in, you have a mask and a buggy. It's clean. I don't see that in some of the grocery stores. Are they supposed to do that, or is the person that is shopping supposed to do that?
Good question, and I don't want to give you an answer without being able to take a look at the guidance, so I will take a look at that guidance and see if it's either a recommendation or a requirement for the businesses. But yeah, as far as with the communication between us and Youngstown City, Aaron and I are usually talking at least every week, if not on a daily basis, depending on the situations that are going on. So our communication between Youngstown City Health Department and the county, I think I've said this before, this virus doesn't have a jurisdiction, so we know that we are, to use the catchphrase, we're all in this together. We continue to work together to ensure that the city and or the county is on the same page and having that same message and doing the same enforcement as far as doing the same type of case investigations. And honestly, Carol, I mean, that's throughout the state. I mean, we have partners that are in Trumbull County, Portage, Columbiana County, and through AOHC, Association of Ohio Health Commissioners, we meet every Friday on a virtual call to have these discussions, and that's basically our response efforts towards the pandemic.
No, I commend you completely, because this relationship that you have with other health departments, especially Youngstown City and some of the other small areas in Mahoney County, has been phenomenal. And having that relationship is what's going to help us keep this from going purple. I mean, I'm praying to God we don't get there, as long as people pay attention. I mean, Saturday, you would have thought it was an open season and everybody was healthy. There were people all over the place. I mean, I didn't see, and I'm not going to go into where or what, I didn't see social distancing anywhere. I didn't see masks in some of these places I was looking in the window. I mean, I hate to be such a crazy about this, but I mean, I don't want to go purple, because that means everything goes down. We need to stay where we are. And another thing I do want to ask you is, have you seen, and how many cases, if you have, of those people that have had COVID, a relapse, like back in the hospital, have it again? Are you seeing any of that in Mahoney County?
I'm not aware of it, but I can follow up with Dr. Kravik on that. That's probably going to be a good question for him. So I will speak to him today and see if
Because
Mercy Health has experienced that, but
I haven't heard
I don't know if
of
we've seen that in
any.
Mahoning.
I mean, I called Dr. Kravik, he must think I'm really paranoid about this illness. But I wanted to wonder how that you could get a relapse. Because I have not heard of any in Mahoning County myself, but then again, that doesn't mean it's not here. I just would like some information.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Dr. Kravik on that question. I'll talk to him this afternoon and I'll get an answer for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Doing a good job. Keep it up.
Ryan, one thing,
No.
Carol's question was that, I know when I go into stores like Home Depot, Tractor Supply, they have a bottle and a roll of paper towels at the door. You have to wipe your own buggy off.
But that
So-
shouldn't be that way.
So, you know, and I do that every time I walk in. So when I walk in, I spray it, I wipe it, you know, before I use it. Some places, they wipe them and have them in a row for
Right.
you to use that have already been wiped down, but even those I wipe myself, you know, before I use them, so. The one other thing too that I wanted to emphasize is, like Dr. Kravik had said, that a lot of the cases are less serious, people coming into the hospital, but those are because a lot of the people coming in that are less serious are younger and stronger. And right now, we have to remember that when you go into a hospital setting, a lot of the doctors and nurses are probably my age or older, you know, so a lot of them are vulnerable as well, even though you're taking all the precautions. You know, you can't be flippant with respect to being young and able to battle through it when you're going into a hospital and you're putting everyone else at risk. So you really need to make sure you're following the guidelines and the rules, because it's incumbent on all of us to protect our neighbors and our friends and our people around us, our community. You know, so that's really, you know, my key point on the younger people, you know, battling through.
And that's a good point. The word I think we always use is to be compassionate, so compassionate of those that are around us. But like you said, you're young, you're healthy, you think you're invincible. You may only experience some of the common cold, some of the minor symptoms through this virus. But when you pass this on to either your mom or your dad or your uncle who maybe had a heart transplant, they may have a more serious impact based off of the virus and how it responds to them. And like I said, the true word is compassion. And those health measures that got us there in the beginning, like I said, they are very, very simple. And those are the things that we as a community need to continue to practice until we get over that hump and until we see a vaccine.
Especially with the holidays coming.
Anthony?
Absolutely. With the holidays coming up, things are gonna should look a little different. It's like I said, you can still get together with family and friends. It's just you have to make sure that you're doing it with public health measures in place. And
On Zoom.
we've had these conversations between my family, both my parents, my in-laws, my sister, and getting together for the holidays is going to be a lot different this year. Unfortunately, hopefully it's just going to be this one year, and next year we can get together and celebrate things that should be normally celebrated.
We'll all be on Zoom. We'll have a Zoom holiday.
Anthony, anything you'd like to?
Yeah, hey,
So
Ryan.
we've been for Easter.
Ryan, I have a question, maybe a comment. Is there anything on the horizon? You keep hearing from all these different media outlets about vaccines, you know, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. Is there anything that's coming out that shows any types of results? Like the president talked about the Regeneron cocktail they gave him, and miraculously he was out of the hospital in 3 days and he's out campaigning. Is any of those making their ways to our hospitals, to our state? What's the truth about all of that?
That's probably another good question for Kravik as far as like the convalescent plasma. As far as the vaccine, I mean, we've had weekly phone calls with the Ohio Department of Health in preparation for mass vaccination. We don't know when it's going to happen. I do know that the state of Ohio actually has sent their plan to the CDC for mass vaccination. So what I can tell you is once we do receive it here in Mahoning County, depending on how they're going to phase in the vaccine throughout the county, Mahoning County Public Health and Youngstown City Health Department, I mean, I shouldn't speak for Aaron, but like I said, we have those conversations. We're ready to stand up and have those mass vaccination events, depending on how they're going to look. Whether it's going to be a drive-through, it all depends on how the plan comes out and how they ask us to implement the plan. It's going to be in phases. It's probably going to be high risk first, probably healthcare workers initially, and then they start to phase it in throughout the year. But we don't have any indication when the vaccine is going to be available, but the conversations at the state level are happening at the local level to make sure that we're prepared for when that vaccine is available, that we can stand up and have those clinics.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Ryan, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your insight and taking the time. I know that when I talk to you during the day that you're always inundated with Zoom calls and meetings and interactions, and you know, it's a very busy time, obviously. So we really appreciate you coming and giving us the update.
Absolutely. Like I said, I appreciate the support throughout the county. I appreciate the support from the county commissioner. The CARES dollars that have been provided to our health department are going to be used wisely. And in the event, some of the items that we are going to be purchasing are going to be for our mass vaccinations that are coming this, hopefully, first of the year.
Well, Ryan, one small question that I stuck in my mind when you were going through the contact tracing scenario. Your comment, I think you specifically said, when I go home, I am living with my wife currently. Is that sometimes you're in the garage living, or sometimes you're in the basement living, or sometimes you're sleeping in your truck? I mean, it's, you know.
She sprays you as you go in.
Sometimes she pushes me out to the shed.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Like I said, it's community spread currently within the families, and that's hard to control. But what we could control is from me, if I had it, to pass it on to my parents, my sister. Those are the things we can't control.
Right. Thank you. We appreciate the great job you're doing on behalf of all of us, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Dave, can we do Teresa first?
Okay, and
Thank you.
why don't you give us a little,
Teresa, basically, for the money that the commissioners have given out, and I'll have Anna do a little bit of discussion of that later, but we're gonna let Teresa speak first on the update in regards to the small business relief. So far, the commissioners have allocated $2,750,000, and Mahoning Valley Economic Partners are the ones that are working that program for the commissioners. So I'll let Teresa speak on that and where we are.
okay, Teresa, thank you. There you are.
Hi, I want to start by saying thank you to you guys for this opportunity to have Valley Partners work with the commissioners to get these much-needed funds out into the hands of the county businesses that need them. You guys worked very quickly, and we were able to help a number of businesses so far. To give you an update, the first $750,000 that was earmarked, we dispersed out to 76 companies. Majority of those were for $10,000 each, but some were for less. And those were all dispersed between August 26th and September 25th, to tell you how quickly they all went out. And then October 1st, you earmarked an additional $500,000 to us, and we started funding those on October 14th. And as of tomorrow, all $500,000 has gone out to 56 companies.
Wow.
So in total, we've funded out 132 companies. And we have another 26 applications that are either approved or we're waiting for a few trailing documents that are ready to move forward with being funded as well with the third round of funding that you guys have earmarked to us. The only other comment I would make is that we keep track of the NAICS codes, which is lets you know what type of business each one of them is. And we have, out of the 130, we have about 6 hotels, 18 restaurants, 8 beauty salons. Other than that, it's all over the board with the different types of organizations that needed the funding. Pet care, construction, automotive repair, there's all sorts of different,
Some guy wants in.
different types of entities out there. So it's definitely coming to good use and helping these businesses stay open or reopen and pay those employees that they were trying to pay. So I just want to give you guys an update on how the money's moving out.
You have 10 in here now. Without one. Teresa, thank you so much. We really appreciate the job that you guys are doing. We apologize. We always want to call you MedVec, Valley Partners, and, it's kind of difficult to get used to try and switch after all these years. So I know you're young and you can do it, but us old guys, we keep saying MedVec, but we apologize. So thank you so much on behalf of the county, the job you're doing to help so many. And, I know the difficult job is in your lap, trying to, filter through and get people qualified. So please thank your staff on behalf of all of us for the great job you're doing to represent the county.
Teresa, you want to,
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Teresa, do you also want to update the guidelines of what we're doing right now so the media knows that we now have a higher limit? Want to kind of give that information too, so that people know that we're going rent and utilities too?
That's a different fund, right?
No, same
No,
one.
it's the same.
The same one. The guidelines for the vendors or for businesses. Can you hear me, Teresa?
Did you want me to talk about these?
Yes, I'm sorry, just real quick, just,
Okay, initially we had set guidelines of that we wanted them to have $1 million or less in sales, 50 or less employees, and items like that. And the reason we had behind that was to make sure we were touching those small businesses that were unable to get the PPP funds or other, help with their funding out there. So these smaller businesses were really in need, and as you can see how quickly it went out that they were. But in the second round, we had decided to increase that to 1.5 million. So now the current threshold is, do they have, in the current year, are they going to have 1.5 million or less in sales?
And about
That is a change.
their rent and utilities.
right, it can cover rent and utilities now too.
We also made a change in allowing rent utilities as long as they had a 35% or higher decrease in their sales from, I believe the spreadsheet we had was April, May, June, and July of 2019 as compared to 2020.
Yes.
Just to see if they had a decrease in those sales. If it's 35% or higher, we allowed rent or utilities. And that opened it to a lot of people that needed it as well.
These beauty salons.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. We appreciate that.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Next, we have Nancy and Sylvia, and they're working together. Can you
I see Nancy.
Can you guys unmute your mics?
That's
Okay.
Nancy Boyd.
She's right there,
Right there.
and then Sylvia.
You do?
Yes. The commissioners allocated 1.5 million for homeowners or people to help with their utilities, their rent, their mortgage. And Catholic Charities and MyCap are working on dealing with that. So Nancy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, can you hear me okay then?
yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you also to the commissioners and to the county for the allocation and for entrusting us and MyCap to work together to process these funds and to get the assistance out to the community. Towards the end of last week, worked through the details based on the eligibility guidelines and how we were going to logistically, go forward. In anticipation of this, we were taking phone calls for utility assistance particularly and for mortgage to so that we had a list of people already when we were ready to get started. Starting this week, I think we've already made contact with about 60 people for utilities. We've had 2 mortgage assistants in already, and we are taking rent calls as well. So the funds definitely are going to be a big benefit because of the higher eligibility guidelines for income. We do have an application that we put together so that we can document the COVID effect, the economic effect of the COVID. I've had several conversations with Sheila at MyCap on how we can coordinate. They have other funds that they're also getting that they're trying to prepare for and manage. I'm sure Sylvia can mention that. But so we're trying to coordinate how we will run the process through here. I've got 4 employees right now that are dedicated to this to process this. The challenge is that this has to be spent so quickly, but we believe, with the amount of assistance available, we're going to be able to make a quick impact with probably a lot of people. I don't know if there's anything else, Audrey, that I'm missing, or if you want to ask me any questions about it.
The homeless shelter?
No, she's not here. No, and Sylvia wanted to say anything in regards to it?
Is she there?
Your mic is on. Off. There you go. Sylvia?
Sylvia?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Did you want to have anything to say?
Hello?
Sylvia, put your camera down, and all we can see is the top of your head.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay. The program provides at least 4 months of support, up to $5,000, no more than $1,250 per month. And that includes your rent, utilities, or mortgage payments.
That's great.
And it's covering.
And what we're seeing is most people have multiple issues. I mean, it's not just rent, it's rent and utilities
Right.
that are really being affected. So, we put our process together to look at all of those aspects. We actually also did, along with MyCap, I believe, reached out to some of the water departments and reached out to some of our landlords and our mortgage lenders in the area that we've dealt with before, just to let them know that these funds are available. We're trying to get out on social media, just let people know that these funds are here. It seems like word of mouth things spread pretty quickly, but we're going to do our best. If we find that we need to kind of ramp up getting assistance out, MyCap and I have talked about, possibly doing some type of event, drive-through event or something, but we're not sure if we're going to need to get to that because people are calling and the need is out there. We just want to make sure people know that these funds are available.
Well, the media is here, so maybe they could put something in the paper as well as on TV with a phone number that they could contact Nancy. Do you want to give them a phone number that they could call you at?
Yeah, they can call 330-744-3320. Ask about the CARES money.
And
Again, appreciate the support and do our best to get this out to the community.
Can you repeat that number again?
330-744-3320.
And the guidelines will be on the county's website too.
What's the website?
Okay, thank you so much.
I have Dwayne on and then Anna.
Okay.
Okay, Dwayne,
Thanks, Nancy.
thanks, Sylvia.
First, thank you, Commissioners, for reminding me what the mental health recovery board did. We have a very large, I guess, tent with all of our agencies on it, which is not a traditional agency. But the money went to like Compass, Meridian, Health Network, and UADOT for cleaning. Because besides telehealth, we're also seeing clients in our offices. And so it's keeping people safe when they're coming in for counseling, especially the kids coming into Alta and in the Flying High. But also we were able to, with the money, some money's gone to OCA to do cleaning. We reached out to YWCA that has houses for women and children, and we'll be cleaning their housing units. The YMCA, we were able to, with the money, to provide a freestanding temperature gauge, so when people go in, especially the kids go in, they can check the temperature immediately when they go into the service. We gave some money to ACLV to clean some of the classrooms for some of the kids who also need to go in there. And we also gave some dollars to CCA to do some cleaning and to get some supplies. So, and also Goodwill got some dollars to clean because they're working with a lot of disabled people in their plant. So we spread it out. Potential Development also got some dollars to clean some of the classrooms for the autistic children in the class. So it's going to good use, and we're thankful for the money. Thank you.
Can I ask Dwayne a question? Dwayne, are you noticing,
Yeah.
that in the schools, like the DD schools and those schools that are for potential on that the clients are having, with the mask, are they trying to get them to use the mask other than the
Well, I
instructors?
know the ones that we funded here, potential ATLP, they're smaller groups because the kids are special needs, but
Right.
from what I'm hearing, they're wearing masks and
Oh,
social
good.
distancing.
Good.
And again, because the classrooms are usually small, it kind of lends itself to this. So, but I know just in general, it's difficult for a small child to keep a mask on all day. It's hard.
We'll have to get them to act like
Okay,
they gotta do
Dwayne.
artwork on the front of it, maybe if they get their own personal touch to it.
Ann, and then we can just do Anna real quick, just a real summary of what the total amount of funding and the allocation and what's been allocated.
Yes, Commissioners, again, I'd just like to reiterate what everybody said. I mean, everybody, from starting with Ryan to all the people that talked today, are really pulling together to make sure this funding gets out into the hands of the people that it needs to get into. We received a total of $13.8 million, and 55% of that total has been distributed out to the community through various nonprofit organizations or boards that the county has worked with. We have a total of approximately, I just wanted to give you a couple numbers here. A total of $2.7 million is going to that Valley Partners for small business relief programs. We have $1.8 million going towards housing support through programs, as you heard, through Catholic Charities and such. As far as I think in total for food programs, I know is another big issue. The county has appropriated and partnered with various agencies almost up to close to $1 million for food and services and access. If anybody has any questions on specific programs, they can always give me or Audrey a call in order to reach the programs that are distributing. But we completed our first financial report this week, and it looks like we have obligated all of our funds, or the majority of funds, for service in the community, whether it be a county service that we provide to the community that we're trying to make sure is safe and operating correctly, or if it is an outside agency. But we are really touching the community and those people that need to be protected, including everybody. So I don't know if you want me to say anything else, Audrey?
Anna, one question for you. Do you have a number on all the other political subdivisions on whether they've taken their allocation that was matching the county's allocation, like to the, Youngstown, Boardman, Austintown,
Yeah.
Canton, Struthers?
So, for the audience, the county commissioners themselves received $13.8 million to distribute as we are. And then the auditor's office was received an allocation of that same exact amount to deliver out to the municipalities, villages, townships, and so forth, to provide services within their own communities through CARES Act dollars. Last that Audrey and I had talked, I think there was only one community that had not responded or received their funding yet.
It's only about
which was,
32,000 that's left that's not allocated. It's only about 32,000 that's not allocated, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of money. It was like $20,000-$30,000 for that community.
I'll take
And we
it.
were going to reach out to them and find out if they needed help or ideas or something, which is the part that we've kind of taken. If the community's reached out to us, we obviously help them through some of the discussion that maybe we've already gone through to get our dollars out. So.
Well, if
All
they
right,
don't,
thank you, Anna.
if they don't use it, then it reverts back to us, is that correct?
It
To-
It goes to the auditor, and then there's a reallocation November 20th, yeah.
Anna, thank you. Appreciate all your work.
Anything?
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. Audrey, are we ready? All right. Okay. Nancy, are you ready? Okay.
Morning, everybody. Larry is in agreement with R&R Incorporated for repairs of vehicle number 43 in the estimated amount of $2,409.55. This is on general funds. And letter B is in agreement with Southeastern Equipment for repairs of vehicle number 464 in the amount of $1,266.36. This is also non-general funds.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Hazmat.
We'd like the commissioners to enter an agreement with Philly Big Rig CDL Institute for training of the 8 members of the hazmat team for $29,200.
I thought we were waiting on that to see if Senator Rulli was going to get us tagged in as exempted from, with respect to, similar to the firemen. I know he was working on that, and he had discussions with Steve Sakely. That's not currently happening?
This is the whole.
No, we spoke with Kathy Jones, and she said we should probably move forward on the people that we had budgeted for this year to get the CDLs, and then in 2021, hopefully Senator Rulli could get that amended so we would fall underneath the first responders.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, move on to sanitary. Bill?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. D is in agreement with Baker Painting. This is to do I-beams in 2 buildings at Boardman Wastewater Treatment Plant. These are older beams that needed to be refurbished, old paint removed. We had to employ certain processes to ensure that we captured any of the spray beams that may contain lead. So Baker Painting was below on that one out of 2 quotes that we have received. He's in agreement with Burgess and Nyquil. This is the financial feasibility study for the sanitary engineering department. This is a crucial document for us in helping us to understand and to track and monitor our expenses and revenues, ongoing capital improvement projects. It provides us a 5-year history of operation. It's essential, this document, in providing us the ability to go to the market to borrow on revenue bonds. Burgess Nyquil has prepared our previous feasibility financial report, and they have proven to be very successful when we meet with Moody's to discuss the department's financial health. And that was in agreement with MS Consultants. This is to do emergency engineering work on a building at the Leander Wastewater Treatment Plant. This is the insulin pumping house. we determined that there are structural issues with the building that need addressed immediately to ensure that the building doesn't fail. So MS Consultants will be doing preliminary engineering and review of the building and providing to the department what needs to be done to improve and make sure the structure is once again sound.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. A motion to approve agreements.
Motion to approve agreements, letters A through F.
Second,
Roll call.
Commissioner Remedy Agati?
yes.
Commissioner Trafficant?
Yes.
Commissioner Ditzler?
Yes. Resolutions.
Motion to approve resolutions, number one additions.
Second,
Roll call.
Commissioner Remedy Agati?
yes.
Commissioner Trafficant?
Yes.
Commissioner Ditzler?
Yes. Record of bids. Bill.
Yes, Commissioners, this was to receive bids for the dewatering and control panel at the Meander Treatment Plant. We received 2 quotes. We are evaluating the bids and we will be making a recommendation to the board to award the contract.
Okay. Motion to approve record of bids.
Motion to approve record of bids 2A.
Second,
Roll call.
Commissioner Remedy Agati?
yes.
Commissioner Trafficant?
Yes.
Commissioner Ditzler?
Yes. Resolution of award. Phil.
Yes, Commissioners, this is the third of 3 pumping stations the department has undertaken to refurbish, revamp, relocate. The low bidder on this project was Brunswick Excavation. We had approximately 9 bidders on this project, and so Brunswick was the low bidder after review, so we're recommending to the board the award of that contract.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Motion to approve resolution of awards.
Motion to approve resolution of awards 3A.
Roll call.
Second,
Commissioner Remedy Agati?
yes.
Commissioner Trafficant?
Yes.
Commissioner Ditzler?
Yes. Resolutions. Commissioners OMB.
Commissioners, this is a resolution to transfer $375,000 from the Medicaid sales tax transition fund to the criminal administrative justice fund. This is the transfer.
Okay. Thank you. Motion to approve resolution. Oh, we got 2 more.
2 more.
Human resources. I'll take that, Roger.
I'll take that. Commissioners, this is a resolution approving a 3-year agreement with Medical Mutual effective January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sanitary. Bill.
Yes, Commissioner, this is a request by the department to proceed with eminent domain action against 5 properties that the department is seeking to have for permanent easement for the improvement 490, which is the regional pumping station on East Western Reserve Road. 5 easements are necessary to continue with the ongoing design and to be able to move forward with this project. We have consulted with the assistant prosecuting attorney for the department, and he has agreed to move forward with this action. This will allow us then to proceed to move forward with the project. This is the USDA funded project. It's an approximately $11 million project on East Western Reserve Road that will eventually allow for the elimination of the New Middletown treatment plant and pumping of that flow to the Boardman wastewater plant.
Okay. Go ahead, Anthony. What did you want?
Bill, did we have any discussions about the eminent domain? Is this people's houses or frontal property on homes, or what is this?
This would be, it's a mix of both of what you're asking, Commissioner. It's to just grant us the easement to construct the either force main or gravity store. It should cause very little impact to the property once the project is in and it's operating. The people retain use or the ability to use the property, and the only thing they can't put a permanent structure over where the easement is at. The properties are appraised, the value determined for the easement is being taken. It's not we're taking the whole property or anything like that. It's just the area that is needed for the easement to construct the improvement.
And these are predominantly along the roadway or all along the roadway?
Three of them are along the roadway, two are approved property, where there may be an existing easement already. So again, we're just taking the route of the sewer as it is being designed and needing that property because it's outside of the right of way that we would be able to normally put into.
Okay, anything else?
No, I'm good.
Anthony? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Motion to approve resolutions,
Motion to approve resolutions A, B, and C.
Second,
roll call?
Commissioner Remedy Agati?
yes.
Commissioner Trafficante?
Yes.
Commissioner Ditzler?
Yes. Okay, well,
That was fun.
No comment.
well, it was long, but, you know, necessary and informative, and, you know, there's a lot of people doing good work and, you know, getting money out to the people that need it, and, you know, it's never a better opportunity to try and help people than the situation we face today, so. Okay, with that being said, I would ask if there's any elected officials still online, or department heads, that would like to comment or ask a question. Pat, anything to fill us in on? Anything happening? I see Meridian Road is being completed. You know, that ended up being a great project, you know, with us in the city and, you know, moving forward on that, and the state now finishing their portion under the overpass.
Dave, I didn't hear what you said because there was a lot of background noise. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, no, I just said I see Meridian Road has been completed, you know, with the state and, you know, the county and the city, and a very good cooperative effort there with now that open and operating and everything being finished.
Yeah, there's still some minor punch list items that are being completed, but the project is substantially complete and obviously much, much better than it was prior to the corridor being reconstructed.
Could I say something?
Mhm.
Pat, I also had many thanks for Latterman Road, I must say. They did come in and thank you and thank the commissioners for the other portion of Latterman Road. Some of those residents were so excited to see that. And I think I need you to tell everyone who did that project. I know you.
We did it in-house with our own labor force, and that was one of the pieces of equipment that we bought, first year out here, we bought at paver so we could do more projects like that. A lot of people are unaware there's force account limits on what we can legally do on roadways and on bridges. So we keep track of that, and we make sure we stay within the legal boundaries. But by doing the paving in-house like that, you know, certainly we can't do an entire road. We're not a construction company, and the force account limit trip that. But we've spent time training our workforce, and they've done a phenomenal job adapting to the milling machine that we partnered with Trumbull County and the paving machine, and they're doing really, really nice work.
Well, those neighbors in that area were so excited. I know one of the neighbors brought your men out a case of water so that they could have water to drink. So they were elated about that. And I did go by there and drive on it, and it's great. Do you want to come and do my street on Lake Drive in the city and help me out a little bit?
Pat, I guarantee you'll get Brajol
I'll cook
and
for you,
booze
Pat.
if you go
I
too late.
definitely will cook for you and the men.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Anyone else online? Any department heads? Anyone else that's part of the listening audience would like to make a comment or ask a question? Is everybody unmuted? Carol?
I'm gonna unmute everybody. You can mute your own microphones if you're not speaking.
Yep, they're good.
Okay, everyone is unmuted. Is there any questions, comments, anything that anyone has that they'd like to do before we move on? Okay, Okay, we thank everybody that's online and was part of the meeting, and we will now go to our comments. And Carol, anything you'd like to
Well, I
add?
just want to thank everyone. I want to thank Anna and Audrey and the whole team at the county that put all of the COVID things together and the CARES Act money. That was very important. The prosecutor's office as well, the two commissioners that I sit with, Dave and Anthony. It's been a long road. I mean, we have a great team here, and as I say every time, you'll hear me say this, and I probably get sick of it, but we have a team of not only appointed administrative people, but we have a team of elected officials that work very hard together for Mahoning County residents. I just want you to remember that. I also, and I say this after every meeting, and I don't know if you're going to get sick of this too, but wear your mask, please. Self-distance. If you don't have to go to a large gathering, don't do it. Give yourself a reprieve for at least 3 months from that. Holidays, be careful. This virus is deadly, and I'm not just saying it because I haven't experienced it. It's deadly. My two partners have experienced some portions of this, so this is not something to take lightly. I mean, when I asked Ryan T-Tac about the restaurants, I would have thought they were giving something away on 2/24 on Saturday night. I really did. I know it was Sweetest Day. But what better place to be with your sweetie but in your own house having a nice private dinner? But I guess that didn't happen. But anyway, that's my same reaction to every meeting with this COVID until it's over. And then God willing, we will need to pick another pandemic that wasn't taken care of from the top down. Thank you. David?
Carol, all I can say is if you made Brajol, we'd stay home. You haven't made it in a year. And
I'm
I'm
gonna make
really
it when
disappointed
my,
in you.
here's what I promised everybody today. When my two partners are victorious, they will have Brajol at their doorstep.
Oh, man. I'm gonna hit the streets now even harder, you know, that's a heck of a thing.
That is a great,
I promise
that's a
you.
great incentive, huh, Anthony?
That's damn right.
Anthony?
No, I just want to echo what Carol said, you know, I know better to go anywhere on a Friday or Saturday night on 2/24, places are packed. We know people want to get out, I want to get out, but like Ryan T-Cac, we got to thank him for the updates that he gave a very thorough and in-depth explanation of what is going on in our community with respect to the increases in cases. So we do want to get a grip on that. You know, it sounds, you know, the way he makes it sounds easy, and really it is. If you wear a mask and you watch where you go, we can really keep a clamp on this. And, you know, all the partners that have worked with the Board of Health, the county commissioners here, and all of our staff, I think we've done a tremendous job. Hopefully this virus will somehow dissipate, who knows, but if we do what we're told, I think it will. And I just want to thank Audrey, Anna, all of our community partners with respect to the allocation of the CARES Act money. There's almost $13 million that Mahoning County has received, and Audrey and her staff have put a list together as to how best give our community the best bang for their buck with those who are in most need. And I think we've done the best that we can to make sure those folks don't fall through the cracks, get a little bit of help because of what this pandemic has caused. It's not their fault, so we're working through this, and I appreciate the board. Dave, he's been on the phone with the governor every week. He's spearheaded a lot of this. Carol Rigetti and myself working together with Dave, trying to get this accomplished. But Dave, you've been at the helm and you've done a fantastic job updating the community and keeping us in contact with Columbus. So I want to thank Dave Ditzler for that. And with that, be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, you know, we can't seem to stress it enough because, you know, we sure don't want to fall back into a situation where, you know, we're out of ventilators. And, you know, I realize that a lot of younger people are facing it today, and, you know, they battle through it. The one individual I just saw online last night that tested positive just Monday said he felt better and he was, able to return to doing a lot of the things he was, even though he's still positive. And, it's only been 4 days and he's only in his, early 40s, so he's able to handle it. But, we really have to make sure that we are conscious of the people around us. It's really a community effort to make sure that we're, not putting someone else at peril or at risk, because, there's so many people, as we found out during this pandemic, that we bring food to. You would not realize how many thousands, 75,000 meals were made by the Jewish Community Center to bring the people that couldn't come out and get food for themselves. And there's a lot of people that are on the verge of that have to go out and get things for themselves, and maybe at risk. So we really want to make sure that we're courteous to our fellow man, and make sure that we do the things that help safeguard all of us, because, a year from now, if this is all over, and when it's all over and there's a vaccine, God help us if we look back and have to think about the people and the family and the friends that we lost during this situation. It always pains me when I drive down the road and I pass a spot where a car spun out in a huge snowstorm, like Father Popovic that did, and went off the road and hit a tree and was paralyzed. And he was on his way to help somebody to do a sermon, to do it, as a priest, to help someone. And when I drive by in the middle of the summertime and I see that spot, and I think to myself, this is where the ice was that created the situation that put somebody in a hospital or in a wheelchair or killed or in the grave. And now the sun's shining, the trees are blooming, and it's all gone. We don't want to be in that situation a year from now when all of this is a thing of the past and have to go visit, our family members at the grave. We want to make sure that we did everything that was in our responsibility and capability to help those around us. So my wife and I went to a gathering for the first time this past Sunday that wasn't, like 1 or 2 spots that we normally feel comfortable going to. And one of our friends had an outside party, 10 people, 5 couples. We were outside around a fire pit, all 10 feet apart, and she gave everybody a blanket. And everybody sat there with a blanket on and talking and socializing. And, it's the first time I had that opportunity to do that, and it was interesting. But, we can do without things until we move forward and get this behind us. But, as my colleague said, everybody's worked so hard, the people in this room and so many others, for trying to assist and keep the county running and people getting their services and everything operating. And I know Mike Adams doesn't get as much credit as he should. He has done a great job. He has done a great job at getting us through this, through all these Zoom meetings and all of the new technology that's been initiated, and and making sure that it's all coordinated. And Mike, we thank you for all your hard work and your efforts. I know that you haven't been given any days off throughout all this. It's been just the opposite. So I thank you and so many others that are doing their part.
I appreciate my job, and I work with great people.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. You do a great job at it too, so we thank you. So with that said, I just everybody do their part, make sure you go out and vote. We show our strength in our numbers, so make sure you go out and, and Audrey made sure you were all counted in the census, because she personally counted everyone's head in Mahoning County, so want to make sure that everybody does their part. Thank you very much, and with that said, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Remedy Agati?
Yes.
Commissioner Trafficant?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes,
Next meeting?
and our next meeting is Thursday, October 29th, 10 a.m. Same bat time, same bat
Oh
station.
my God, it's Halloween. It's a Halloween
Oh.
weekend.
In the election.